Two players. One of them is 39, playing, almost certainly, the last World Cup match of his life. The other turned 19 4 days ago and could still be lacing up for this tournament 20 years from now. Here's the map. Half of this final is already real. Spain beat France 2-0 on Tuesday, and Lamine Yamal is walking into it. The other half depends on tonight. Argentina still has to get past England, with Lionel Messi trying to make sure this isn't just another game, but his very last one on this stage. If Argentina gets there, that's a 20-year gap between finalists, standing on the same pitch 5 days from now. Call it what it actually is, not just a football match, a handoff. Whether the greatest individual era the sport has ever produced closes exactly as the next one opens. Messi has 8 Ballon d'Ors. Yamal, at 18, was already the youngest Ballon d'Or runner-up ever. One of them has already answered every question the game can ask. The other is still writing his answers in real time in front of the entire planet. And yes, both of them carry baggage nobody's talking about yet. We'll get to that. But first, you need to understand exactly what each of them is actually playing for. Start with the math, because it's brutal. The next World Cup is 2030. Messi will be 43. Nobody plays international football at that age. Nobody ever has. So realistically, this is it. The last World Cup match Lionel Messi will ever play. And he isn't fading out quietly. He opened this tournament with a hat trick. He's got 8 goals through 6 games, tied for the Golden Boot. In March, he became only the second player in history to reach 900 career goals. He already holds the individual record too, 8 Ballon d'Ors, 3 more than anyone who's ever played the sport. At 39, this is statistically his best World Cup since 2014. That's the case for the greatest ending the sport has ever produced. But Messi isn't walking into this final with a clean scoreboard off the pitch either. His federation is under FBI investigation for money laundering, more than $260 million unaccounted for. 2 years ago, his teammates were filmed singing a racist chant about the very country Argentina might now have to beat to get here. Messi, the captain, never once addressed it publicly. An Argentine official who demanded he apologize got fired for asking. So here's the man in the twilight of the greatest career the sport has ever produced, walking toward maybe his final match, still owing some real answers off the field. But somebody has to be on the other end of a handoff, and the kid waiting to receive it is putting up numbers almost as absurd as the ones he's chasing. Lamine Yamal made his professional debut at 15. At 16, he was the youngest goal scorer in European Championship history and won the tournament with Spain months later. At 17, he became the youngest player ever nominated for the Ballon d'Or. At 18, he finished runner-up for it, the youngest runner-up the award has ever had. Last season alone, he was directly involved in 43 goals for Barcelona, and he already owns back-to-back Kopa Trophies as the best young player on the planet. He turned 19 4 days ago. This is, technically, still his rookie era. That's the case for football's next great one. A kid already collecting the records Messi collected as a teenager, except a full generation faster. But this World Cup has gone quiet for him. 1 goal in 6 games, his slowest scoring stretch in 2 years, arriving at the exact moment the whole planet finally started watching. And the match that got him here wasn't spotless either. Spain's penalty against France came from a challenge some pundits called theatrical. Minutes later, Yamal put in a tackle on Kylian Mbappe, reckless enough to leave him writhing on the turf. No card at all. Here's the line that actually stings. A former Spain national team manager, Javier Clemente, said publicly that unless Yamal cleans up his personal life, he won't last long in this sport. Not a rival, not a foreign pundit. Spain's own football establishment, warning its own future. Not everyone agrees on what that means. Some call it the normal noise every generational talent survives under this much pressure. Others call it a 19-year-old who hasn't grown up yet and won't have time to before Saturday. That debate isn't settled. It's about to get tested on the biggest stage that exists. So this is what the handoff actually looks like up close. Not a clean coronation. A teenager with historic numbers, a quiet tournament, and a warning from inside his own federation, about to share a pitch with the man whose records he's chasing. But chasing someone's records and actually taking them are two different things. Here's exactly how far apart they still are. Because Saturday isn't really Argentina versus Spain. It's an ending against a beginning. Messi has scored in 5 different World Cups, 20 years apart. Yamal wasn't born the first time Messi played in one. Messi has 8 Ballon d'Ors, Yamal has 0, for now. But at 19, he's already ahead of the pace Messi himself set at that age. One man is trying to close the greatest individual resume the sport has ever produced. The other is trying to prove the resume he's about to start writing is real, on the biggest stage that exists. And neither one arrives untouched. Argentina survived Egypt down 2 goals, leaning on contested minutes from the referee. Spain survived France on a penalty call still being argued days later. Messi's federation is still explaining itself to federal investigators. Yamal is still explaining himself to his own country's football elders. None of that decides Saturday. What decides Saturday is 90 minutes and which era shows up better in them. Whatever happens, something ends this weekend and something else begins. Lionel Messi's last World Cup match, most likely, across from the player who might be measured against him for the next 15 years. That's not a scandal. That's not even really a football match anymore. That's a handoff, and neither side gets to choose whether they're ready for it.